Well, boys, we got there. G'day, guys. How are ya?
Good, mate. Good, yeah. I gave very strict guidelines about what times I could do, and here we are, just succumbing to whenever you guys are free.
Yeah, it's fun. Old Durbs has had no sleep though, Durbo. That's a tough night with the little one, right?
It was, yeah. It wasn't fun, you know. He's in that phase, you know. You guys all understand it, but you guys have no sympathy because you've all been there. So it's all like, I've got a really young baby. Like, I don't care. I've got 3.
I've been there multiple times and continually still there.
I still want to have the video turned off on a day like this, you know. I even thought about putting a little bit of eyeliner on or something this morning.
Boys, well, here we are again. This is the Race Communique. Always good to be back. I tell you what, the months go so quick. I'm joined by Tom Southam, Director Sportif at EF. Southam.
Morning, fellas, from Greece. How you doing?
From Greece, as you do. And yeah, that's your office, isn't it?
Yep.
What are you doing in Greece?
I had a few days between just finished Basque Country and I'm going to the Ardennes, and wife and kids are out in Greece for the school holidays, so I ducked out here to join in for 2 days.
Where in Greece are you?
Thessaloniki. I've never been. I arrived last night at, 11 o'clock, and I want to get outside, so let's hammer through this podcast so I can go and find out what it's like.
Let's just take our time. Let's just waste half of your 1 or 2 days there
at an Airbnb.
And, of course, the big voice you can hear there is Durbo, Luke Durbridge, rider of Jaco Alula. Durbs, welcome.
Thanks, mate. Just in Endor at the moment. The weather has turned. It's been lovely spring weather lately, but it's just turned a bit rubbish today. So I'm not, I will be getting out there, but I definitely won't be on the ergo anymore after 2 weeks. So, yeah.
Well, I'm glad you brought that up, because this is, as I said, Race Communique presented by Life in the Peloton. Our major partner is MAAP, of course, but our partner in the Race Communique is Training Peaks, and that's what I wanted to bring up, because last week we chatted about it. Training Peaks Virtual, the newest virtual training platform on the market. Training Peaks have simply taken the exciting platform Indie Velo. They've rebranded it. They've pumped it up. They've cleaned it up a little bit. Durbs, you've been on the trainer the last month. Mate, what's it like? Have you actually tested it out?
Well, I was on the trainer for like 13 days before I got the hell on the road. So sort of not really that long. It's not even a month. And then by the time we spoke, I just set up the Training Peak. So I actually only got on there for one ride. I'm sorry to say. To be honest, I'm on my Training Peaks app every day, but the virtual training program I only got into once. It's very realistic. Yeah, really enjoyed it. I'll never say I'll enjoy an indoor session, just not into it. But look, it made it past. I think I got up to 2 hours, so that's pretty good without me trying to blow my brains out. So yeah, no, it's very realistic and
user friendly.
Very user friendly. The thing is, when you can design your session on your Training Peaks app, flick it across. So, for example, the coach was doing a very specific session for me, so I just grabbed it, put it across to the app, put it on the ergo, and just let the trainer give me the watts, and it was good. It was very realistic. It was great.
Because the great thing is you can actually sync it through Apple TV, so it's pretty simple to get up on your TV. But Training Peaks is more than just Training Peaks Virtual. Whether you're an elite athlete, a cycling coach, or you're new to the sport, get the tools you need to reach your goals with Training Peaks. So more or less, this is the platform that we all use. Southam previously was a monitor of Training Peaks, but Tom, you're in there now.
Big news, fellas. I made myself an actual athlete account the other day. So now because I really wanted to see how it worked. And my mate Luke, who is going to laugh at me for this, because I was teasing him about it the other day. I was saying, you're not an athlete, you shouldn't have it, blah blah blah. And I was like, actually, you know
Why?
what? So, well, you see, that I was wrong, and this is what I've come to learn. Because when I started actually using it and making it, it's like because you were saying the other day, you're like, oh yeah, I still use it, and I was thinking, oh, Mitch, you're a bit, But then I thought, no, I'm going to try. I'm going to see. And it's actually, I have to say, from both sides, I'm converted. Got my run sessions on there. Got my intervals on there.
Do you
straight
find
down onto the devices. It's awesome. No, it's really cool.
That's what I find. Like, if I don't plan it in, like, I still go out, but I still like to have a bit of a rough plan. I'm like, cool. Once that's locked in, I'm actually going to focus and get 1 or 2 runs in this week. But sometimes if I just leave it a bit too willy-nilly, maybe that doesn't happen.
Yeah, exactly.
I like getting the green light still.
Mate, I like program my life in there. I've got like notes, like what I'm doing tomorrow. Like at 7, I've got this and I've got that. Like, it's like a calendar.
What do you put it under?
Mine's just a list of total failures of things I didn't do, but it's nice to have it. It's nice to know what it could have been. How good could the week have been? Yeah.
The best part about Training Peaks Premium is that you can get Training Peaks Virtual included in your premium account. Training Peaks Premium, you can head across to trainingpeaks.com/LITP to get a further 20% off your subscription. Plus, you get 1 month free trial of the Training Peaks Virtual if you just want to test it out. But then sign up, get the premium. You get all the benefits by having Training Peaks account. Plus, you get the virtual free. So it's a bit of a no-brainer. Get across, use that because you're going to get so much more benefits. And I want to hear about how high people can get their CTLs. Durbo, I'm up to 70. I've been training.
Man, I'm pretty low at the moment after the crash. I'm only just under 90 at the moment, so I've got a lot of work to do.
Are you?
Yeah. I mean, the thing is, let's not go into that. The training, my theory on CTL. But anyway, it's low, but I don't think I'm that unfit.
I've had this horrid cold the last couple of weeks. And I think it's a weird thing because the classics come and I get sick every year here when the change of the weather is, but I shouldn't be getting sick in autumn into winter. I don't know what it is. I always get sick here around the classics time the last few years since I've retired.
Homesick. Is it homesick? Should be in Belgium.
I think it is. I get my Belgian sickness. It just comes on. It doesn't feel right unless I've got like a rusty sort of throat and I'm not at the classics, you know?
That post-dust Paris Roubaix cough that you don't even have the last couple of years.
I'm just putting it on because Roubaix was on the weekend, boys. Very exciting time of year, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah.
It was exciting.
Not giving me much there, boys. It was like I was just said there was bloody Amstel on the weekend.
Oh, come on, there's nothing wrong with Amstel. That's going to be mega.
Well, to be honest,
Roubaix is a good warm-up for the Ardennes, you're right. It is. It's been super nice to watch people getting ready. A few races bubbling under while the real cyclists get ready for the Ardennes. It's been good.
Man, it was actually just generally mental. Like, the run into the first sector, it was just like people everywhere. And I watched from, kilometer 0 all the way through, and it was just like, man, this race is nuts. Like, it is nuts. Just constantly evolving.
I was going to say, like, I actually found it's weird how it's not weird, but like the first part is almost more exciting, like than the end. Like if you really watch from 0, it's so good. There's so much. There was a point after about, I don't know where it was, there's sort of 5 or 6 sectors before Arenberg. It's like, it's like everything was happening. All the favorites were already there.
That's not the beginning.
Still, it's 100k into 115k into 260k race. It's pretty early, and from 0.
Well, it's 3 parts the race. You got first 95, then you've got to Arenberg, and then you got after Arenberg. Durbo?
Yeah, I agree.
Is this because you had a nap? Is this because you're trying to tell us you had a nap at some stage?
There's no way I had a nap. Yes, so the race kicked. It was super fast. I've got some notes about the race. Was very fast.
Like you had done Roubaix. You called me after the commentary at like, I don't know, it was 2 a.m. your time. He's like, I've just finished the commentary. I think it was pretty good. Something wrong with my voice.
I had the worst voice for commentary last night. It was embarrassing. I was so husky. It was just like this. Hey, it just sounds exactly like his, but it was very fast. As always at the start, it was cross tailwind and everyone was attacking, and I was watching these Hail Marys go up the road. But as I predicted, the break would go around Ham, which we always hope it would. Sorry, Ham. And the break went 30k into it. We saw 8 riders go up the road. But as Durbo mentioned, the lead into the first sector, sector 30, is always stressful, but I've never seen it this stressful in all my life. Like, it was outrageous. 20K before the sector, it was already like the sector was around the corner. And as always, as you pointed out the years before, Durbo, when the bunch is side to side in a block, they were literally a block. They looked like a cube riding along the road from the aerial shot. Side to side, no string at the back even. There was just riders. And I looked at the speed. They were doing 58, 64K an hour, like side to side on the road. And they're going around these sweepy corners. There was that many crashes leading into the first sector. Guys like Van Aert was out the back. Garner was out the back. Philipsen, he crashed as well. Pithy went down. Sturven went down. There was heaps who crashed. It was sort of a letdown because they hit that first sector, and it was like almost the first split had already happened before the cobbles happened. I hate to see that. And then it was ultimately about riders bringing their riders back. And that's where we saw Lidl take control with Mads Pedersen. Derbs, watching that lead into that sector, you're more current, obviously, to the Peloton than I am, but I don't remember it being like that. Even, 2021, the last one I did was completely different to that.
I mean, I don't know. It's really hard because it's sort of been a slow burn towards getting there. Like, that's not surprising what I saw yesterday. Like, I don't love seeing it because often I'm not seeing it. I'm obviously racing it. Like, it's not often I miss Roubaix, so I think it's nuts while I'm doing it. But, like, last year I think it was the fastest ever Roubaix. And I remember that run-in. We were trying to get Max Weishaupt in position, and, like, I remember just stepping out of the line to try and move up one wheel and just coming straight back in because we were going 60 Ks an hour. So there's only so fast you can go. But that's just pretty standard, Like, I think the stress into the first sector, it was wet, which just, like, adds just a huge element. That first two sectors, if you get through there unscathed, you see what happened. That Peloton never came back. So there was a group of, 60, 70 guys maybe got through that sector, and then the second Peloton would just chase the whole time with Garner. Like, they were just trying to come back. Look, they did come back, but by the time we come back, it's race over, So like, I know one of my mates, Max Weishaupt, I was talking to him yesterday, and he was in great position, crash just before the sector. He got the whole team to chase for him. Never came back to a, respectable group, and that was it, day done. And then we're talking like Tom said, like, how far are we from we're like 95K into the race, and your day's done, from there. And there's only probably, I reckon, 3 riders that can come back. But the thing is, it's so much investment by the team to do it. Ineos absolutely nailed it. They invested their whole team into the first sector. Garner punches. You know what I mean? Like, their whole, they were burning Ben Swift, Connor Swift, like, guys that can go deep in this race and even do, like, lead-ins to Arenberg and Rara. And they just went, this first sector is everything. And they went fucking full. And then he punches. It's just like...
But they rode awesomely to get him back into it. I agree. One comical thing with Weishaupt is, how's the bike he rode? Did you see that when he rode one of his teammates' bikes? Literally looked like he was riding my youngest daughter's running bike.
Yeah, Yelta gave him his bike. It's just, it was poor guy.
It was comical. I'm like, this is doing nothing. He might as well just wait there for the cars. It was so small.
We were car 19, so it was sort of, he was going to have to wait until the Roubaix was over to get a bike.
I fast forward through the race because the next really crazy point for me was Wallers. Wallers is a sector before Arenberg, and typically is a really interesting point because it's got 2 corners in it. There's often a crash on there. It splits up before Arenberg because everyone's stressing about Arenberg afterwards. This year, Pedersen leads onto it. He just full gas goes into it. Then over the top of him, we see Tadej Pogačar actually launch it first time on the cobbles, which was interesting, into the tailwind. But then straight over the top of him, Mathieu Van Der Poel goes. And, like, they split the bunch so much there, the smaller group, that by the time they came to Arenberg and this whole new sector that they put in to stop the whole bunch racing for Arenberg, the little extra bit, it didn't matter. There was only in a bunch of 20 by then. The only difference was that they went on to Arenberg slightly slower. But safety-wise, I don't think that's probably going to be an issue looking into the future. The way they race now, it's just not going to be the big bunch getting there. That's the point that I found really interesting.
Arenberg's gone from like the part where it starts to it's already like, then you're into the real decisive part. Because coming off there was when it was like, okay, now you can see the top 10 guys in the race basically. Already.
Part 3.
Yeah, exactly. Part 3. Mitch just woken up from his nap.
Oh, where did everyone else go? There's 3 guys left in the bike race.
Part 3, I'll wake up here.
Hey, Keenan, Gero, what's been happening?
It's Gracie, actually, mate.
Oh, sorry. But like, I reckon that the last, I can't remember the last amount of times, maybe since even when you did it, Mitch. I reckon Arenberg was always split up before Arenberg. But there was still a bigger bunch going into it. Yeah. But I heard the most ridiculous thing on the commentary yesterday. I'm not going to name and shame, but they said, should they downgrade Arenberg because you don't come in with as much speed?
Someone who's clearly never ridden it.
Downgrade
to like a 3-star because the only reason it was dangerous was because you ran into it downhill. And I was like,
that's worth shaming. That's
oh man, I could not believe it. I was going to ride in. It's terrible.
How much attention do you pay to the start? Anyway, like how much attention do you pay to a climb, whether it's a 4th cat or a 1st cat? Actually, at the end of the day, everything's totally arbitrary. But like, do you have you ever thought
5-star should move up now?
Yeah. Like, I mean,
oh, is there a 5-star coming? Oh shit!
Better get out of this position.
Or you're on it. You're like, is this 5-star? Is it? Oh, geez, I better. Didn't realise.
If you've never ridden Arenberg, it should be 8-star. It's actually hands down. Apart from that, is the hardest sector.
Well, I think it's just out of the respect of giving the sector the credibility of where it is. It doesn't make a difference, like you said, Tom, knowing if it's 5 or 4 or 3, but just for the plebs and the reference to the commentators to just go, well, this is the hardest sector because it's 5.
I would have thought it has to be because as a rider, I mean, I've not done it, but like you guys must know, it's like you just fucking hell for leather, right? And it is what it is.
It's got nothing to do with the speed that you go into it. It's just got to do with the severity. I can't even say that word. The toughness of the sector.
Yeah.
So look, they came off Arenberg, and Arenberg was smashed up. Who led down Arenberg? I don't think now.
Pogs started, and then Van Der Poel came over him.
Yeah, that's right. And Pedersen was in the wheel. For me, one part from Arenberg that really stood out to me was Fedorov from Astana was just sitting pretty in 3rd wheel. I'm like,
how good did he look then? I was like,
like, what the hell? Where's that form come from?
It was looking real good there.
But when they came off Arenberg, this is when I first noticed that I don't think Pogačar was as good as, we all everyone was sort of alluding to. When they came off Arenberg and Van Der Poel pushed it, came out and ripped it, it was the first time you saw the kink in the armour. You're like, okay, this is hard now for Tadej to close the wheel. Obviously, he still closed the gap, but normally he would just go straight across. I was like, oh, it's a bit of a struggle. Interesting.
But that's also everyone's expectation of him was, of course he's going to win. Like he ran 2nd. It's like, it's unbelievable.
It's bonkers, man.
To come 2nd. But I think everyone was like, he's going to do something ridiculous and somehow win it. And the fact that he didn't is already beyond good. It's like, it's incredible where he finished. But we were like, yeah.
And realistically, for the team that he had, I'm not going to say they didn't support him, but that's the way Roubaix is. Sometimes your teammates get lost, crashes, punches, whatever it is. He didn't really have that much team around him the whole day. Nothing against Vermeer. She rode really well, but Niels Pollitt was around a little bit. He put a couple of attacks in, but a lot of his teammates, when they're in comparison to Albertson, they rode awesome.
I was just thinking through like whether, because it seemed to me like Wellens was back super early, and then like you said, Pollitt was out on Arenberg, so he was on his own a lot. But he's also got a bit more space, doesn't he? You could see that he's going to go where he wants to go.
Yeah.
rainbow jersey on his back, and he is who he is. So
yeah, but arguably, like later on, it would have been nice to be able to have that card to play. They had the riders that could have been there, you know, to repair, to cover those moves off Arenberg, things like that. What about psychologically as well? Or maybe he doesn't need that.
I think to be honest, they had a fair bit of bad luck with some of their guys. Like I think Pollitt obviously also punctured, came back, and I think there's only, like I said, there's only a handful of guys that can come back from a mishap. Like probably 3 guys, maybe Mads Pedersen, Van Der Poel, and Pogačar. If anything happens to those guys, they have enough horsepower to repair it. But anyone else in the race, if something goes wrong, the speed of the bunch is so high, they can't repair it. So if one of his teammates had a mishap, you know, in that first bit coming into the first sector, mate, day done. You know, like Vermeersch probably had a clean run, and that's why he was there. And to be honest, Vermeersch was actually very helpful, not necessarily for run-ins, but like if something did come back, you know, behind, it's very helpful. I was real upset to see Mads Pedersen puncture. Not saying that what we could have seen, but like would have been very interesting to have that third guy there for the whole way, just to see, you know, like the guys have some sweet form. He probably would have been with Pog, I reckon, by the looks of Pog towards the end, but I don't know. We'll see. It'll be interesting.
Philipsen, thoughts about Philipsen? Questions around him coming into the race. I thought he rose, like, there's something about Roubaix that if you love it, you really rise to the occasion, and obviously it suits him. He looked awesome on the stones, considering he also crashed before the first sector. Did you expect him to ride that well?
No, not necessarily. I hadn't seen sort of an inkling of his condition. I mean, obviously he was second in Skelter Prize, but it's a slightly different race. But
ever so slightly.
Well, the big focus for him was really the classics. You know, he went to altitude, missed Torino. Like his big focus was like, I'm going to, you know, get on a podium of or top step of a classic. So it'd be interesting to see if he changes his prep next year, considering that probably Roubaix was his best showing, and he still probably ran out of legs anyway. But amazing turnaround compared to what we've seen the last couple of races. But Roubaix is a different beast. I mean, going back to that point where Pogačar couldn't get on the wheel out of Arenberg, you know, he's trying to get across to Van Der Poel. Like the impact of the stones, like it's just some people don't think about. Like that actual, just like it's not like a climb. You literally, someone's just beating you with a bat, and then you got to step on it, and that's something foreign to Pogačar. So now he knows that feeling. Man, I reckon, yeah, she's going to win. He's going to win next year. But
the thing is, something I was talking about a lot on the commentary last night is the weight of the riders. And yes, it's about the seated power and be able to produce the power on the flat. But it's also about, I think, about having the extra sort of body to absorb the poundage of the stones. I've never been a lightweight rider myself, so I don't know what it'd feel like. But I know what it feels like as a
you would know.
heavier rider. Yeah, you're a lightweight, Southam.
Well, this is my actual hope, is that like for the Ardennes, Pogačar like is going to carry some of that fatigue, because it's like I think there's a lot of talk of the risk of crashing for him and the impact of the damage that could have. But I really want to see how much physical like toll he's taken from exactly what you said, Durbs. Like that hammering plus the effort to do it. It's like, so what's it going to cost next Sunday when he wants to line up in Amstel, you know? So I'm really like, I think like you said, like a lot of riders going to potentially feel that more, because it is, I mean, like there's no doubting his talent. He's like probably the best ever, but surely there's going to be a point where his body is going to have taken a hammering that it's not used to. And the impact of not having the muscle and all that extra weight that you had, Mitch, you know.
All the blubber.
And no, I'm super interested to see it.
There's only a couple more points I want to talk about, because there's so much stuff we could talk about in the race.
Hopefully it's going to be the big fella Jonas Rutsch. No, that's got to be one of the points.
Oh, we'll get to ride of the day a bit later on. The bottle. Van Der Poel is solo. Pogačar crashes on a corner, overshoots a corner. Well, I guess we could talk about, well, the two things I want to talk about is the crash. It's sort of rolled into one. The crash, how that would have played out differently. But before we get to that part, I want to talk about when Van Der Poel was solo, and a guy decides to just lob a bottle, full bottle into him. A Visma bottle, by the way. I'm just like,
just don't
outrageous.
Go, just don't go. Just don't go to the like. What the hell?
It's just outrageous.
It's like I mean, we saw it last year, didn't we? So someone throwing crisps in Vingegaard's face or something.
Yeah.
So it's just like, please, just don't go to the race. Like, what the hell?
Yeah, it's not even worth giving them the airtime, you know? It's fucking pieces of crap, to be honest.
Yeah, good call, Durbs. Well, let's go forward then back a little bit, because Pogačar then launches one himself in the tailwind. I said last night in the headwind. They go 60k an hour into headwinds now. But, and overshoots the corner. Who knows how Van Der Poel was able to get himself out of that. But that created the gap, and then ultimately, you know, the drag race was on to the finish. The big question here is, you know, what would have happened? I've got my opinion on it, but I'd love to hear from you guys. What would happen if that didn't happen, the crash? Would they have gone to the velodrome together? And what would have been the play out from there? I'd like to hear your thoughts, boys.
I mean, the way I see it, Van Der Poel was in the driving seat with his finish, with his experience. It was on Pog to have to do something. I think Van Der Poel would have gone there together with him, to be honest with you, unless, I mean, you remember San Remo, right? Pog goes 7 times and Van Der Poel goes once, but his attack was actually the one that nearly cracked him. And I think you would have had a scenario like that. Pogačar under pressure to do something, and ultimately Van Der Poel is going to either drop him or beat him in a sprint. And that was first and second for me, Van Der Poel, Pogačar, no matter what he tried.
Yeah, I mean, I think you're right. What I could see would have happened afterwards is that once he had that crash and lost that time, like I said, you cannot make the big difference that deep in the race. There's just nothing left in the tank, and that's even to drop someone. So you said a lot of the time you see groups come to the line in the velodrome, you're like, well, why didn't you try and attack and get away? You actually can only do one effort. It was like really short, you know, and for example, Pogačar versus Van Der Poel on that one short effort at the end of Roubaix, Van Der Poel's going to win that 9 times out of 10. So I reckon probably what would have happened, they might have come to car 4 together, and then, you know, Van Der Poel would have put one effort in on car 4 to Labra at the end, and I think Poggy would have just got tailed off there. That's where I personally think what would have happened, because even when Pogačar, Van Der Poel had the bike change, Poggy was done. After the crash, he couldn't close it. It was staying at a minute. I mean, he did a bike change and he didn't make up even 10 seconds. So, yeah, I think he was already on the way down.
Nice. Yeah, I tend to agree with you guys. The only difference is I think they would have gone to the velodrome together and Van Der Poel would have pumped him in the sprint. He just looked more comfortable on the bike, more in control, and yeah, got through the day better from that point. So I don't think the crash really changed much in terms of the overall result, and I think they went about it the right way in the post interviews. Roger done really well. Quick one now, boys, just to wrap up Roubaix. Ride of the day, who surprised and who disappointed?
I'm going to go with Jonas.
Big ride.
He did like, I mean, he's been up there before.
What, for who disappointed, or?
Yeah, he just really disappointed me. Should have won.
Ride of the day, or who surprised? What's he going to be?
I guess surprised, I would say. Because he's wanting to do that. I mean, it was in our team for, you know, half a decade, and he's wanting to do that for the entire time. You know, he's well suited to Roubaix. Everything has to go right, and it did on the day. But he also, you know, he's got the horsepower to stay there, and like you know him, you've raced it. Like when he's tired, you think, oh yeah, this guy's finished now, and he's still got 100 and whatever Ks in him. Yeah, no, it was didn't expect it to work out like that.
I think, yeah, on the same note, and also another rider that we know very well for me was almost, actually, I'll put him at ride of the day because outside the greats, you know, Van Der Poel, I think obviously the massive ride, but Bissiger, he went into the interview before the race. I watched his pre-race interview and he was like, podium is what I'm going for. And Sepp Piquet was like, oh, it's a big statement. And he stuck by it. And he's just like, yeah, no, I'm good. Cobbles suit me. I'm good to go. And he didn't ride it like nothing against Jonas's ride, a great ride, and I take my hat off to that ride. It was a massive ride, but it was an opportunist way. Bissiger, he followed the best, and he was with the best, and that was a big ride for me. For me, that was ride of the day, even though he couldn't capitalise on it at the end. He held on, finished 7th place in the end. And I'm just going to quickly get in with who surprised Matt Brennan. Holy hell. What the hell was that ride? He was out of control good, closing gaps, and he's from Visma Lisa Bike for me. Durbs, do you want to get anyone in?
You've taken a couple of mine. I was going to say Bissinger as well. So, I thought that was a massive ride by him to follow those guys and then finish it off in the top 10 in the finish. I'm going to stick with Bissinger, and I think have we done disappointed or not yet?
Right. For me, who disappointed, I'll just jump back in. was Pithy. I was so disappointed, not because he let me down, but disappointed for him. He crashed, ultimately didn't finish, and I had high hopes for him last year, 7th place on his debut. So,
I mean, you banked the podcast on it, mate. So no wonder you're disappointed. Pithy 4-part special and doesn't do anything Roubaix. No wonder you're angry. I hope you messaged him after. It's like, what was that? Question mark.
Thanks, buddy.
You started to get in my favourites, but back to Stevie Williams.
Go back to Stevie. Who disappointed for you, Derbs?
Just Jumbo, probably other than Brennan. Jumbo in general. I think they just didn't have a good Roubaix. Come out with 4th in Flanders, 4th in Roubaix with Van Aert. It's not terrible, but yeah, I just was expecting bigger things, maybe a podium at least, but it just didn't happen.
Speaking of Jumbo, I mean, imagine if you're Quick Step, right? Where was their first finisher?
Yeah, but the last couple of years it's been like Remco wins the Age, and then that's sort of their classics,
They've been like tailing off, but like it's not a million years ago that they were like all over it, Guys like Lampard, like, all over the race. I mean I know it's like changing, but still, their first rider.
Classic teams. You're talking Trek and Ineos, Alpecin obviously as well. But there's those 3 teams I reckon that are just the best dialed, but not necessarily always getting the victory. But if you see the positioning where they're nailing run-ins for Flanders or Roubaix, like Trek, Ineos, and Alpecin. Those 3 teams are the best classic teams at the moment, I'd say.
It's Trek. I mean, because they're like in terms of that moment when everybody needs to get into the right position, they're better even than Alpecin. I suppose like early on, I think it was before the first sector yesterday, like Dillier was like trying to pull to go towards the sector, and he was like yelling at everyone because Trek with like all the teams were swarming. You couldn't even pull on the front of the bunch. You couldn't even make the speed because everyone's just like, we're going anyway.
Yeah. He was yelling at the tractor. That's right. They were going next one. I could say they were like, just slow down. We don't need to go that fast. But the tractor knows only one speed. Lampard was the first for Quick Step at 28th. Mulia, and then they had only 3 finishers. What's his name here? Andrea Racket. What's his name? Raccagni, the Italian. He was third. They were the only 3 finishers. Boys, there was also the Women's Roubaix as well the day before, which was a great race. I love having the Women's Roubaix the day before. The 5th edition, 29 sectors of cobbles, 29 sectors, 29 kilometres of cobbles, 17 sectors. They have 2 5-stars. Monzen-Bevel.
We all know about 5 stars, don't we, boys?
Garvoort Alarm. Lotte Kopecky came in as last year's champion. She's world champion. She won Flanders. She was the one to beat. But Pauline Ferrand-Prévot, she had a mid-race crash just on Sector 12, or she's just before they went into Monzen-Bevel, and she was sort of out of the picture for ages. She sort of forgot about her, but she rode back in. Marianne Vos was also the one to beat. She rode awesomely, and then Prévot went on the attack at about, where was it? It was about 20K to go, 18K to go, sorry. And then it's making her first race at Roubaix, the first time she's been here. She's a mountain biker. she became the first French woman to win the race. It was an epic ride. The best part about the ride was Marianne Vos played the biggest support card behind, supporting her, blocking all the moves when arguably she was like the strongest in the race, could have won, easily have won. Pauline came in the race purely to support her. She didn't even think she was going to start the race. She was crook on the morning of the race, not even sure she was going to start. She just said, I'll go in there to support Vos. Epic, epic ride. Imagine back at their house, Dylan Van Baal, her husband, and 2 rocks. Great entry to their home.
It's going to get pretty heavy on the old mantelpiece. But no, like you said, like when she attacked, she wasn't attacking for the win. I think she said it's like she was going just to put pressure on. But then when I watched her go across Carrefour de l'Arbre, she like can ride a bike like off road with some serious skills. She was absolutely flying across Carrefour there. It was pretty cool to watch that. So
she was the only one from Visma Lisa bike to actually make that whole valve. That's a whole nother conversation, not for today, but the whole valve pressure system work. Yeah, they could go up and down with pressure on the roads. They could pump it up to 100, 220 psi, and then they would just drop it down to about 30 psi for the cobbles. Pretty crazy system, and Vos used it in the gravel scene and absolutely smashed it in the gravel worlds. And then, in the men's racing, it didn't seem to really make much difference for the men, but clearly for the women, it was an advantage or a big advantage. I don't know, but it seemed like it was working really well. There's been some other racing, boys. Just lastly, there's been a long segment from me, but this is Roubaix. So, Southam, we can't ignore it. Your little race that you were doing in Spain.
The big one.
It was a huge
Tour
one.
Of the Basque Country, where everybody else
race. Caleb Bjorn was there.
Yeah.
Won a stage.
I mean, that was like they've done a really nice job, I would say, with Ineos, with his program in terms of, you got someone who was disillusioned, hadn't been winning, had had a tough time or whatever, and wasn't sure as I understood it, wasn't even sure if he was going to race this year. It gave him time to basically train, and they sent him to Copy Bartley, and the first stage was pan flat, and he sprinted against people, we're not used to him hearing him sprint against. And then the next race they sent him to, a hilly race with one potentially flat stage, and then with the idea of going home straight after. And I mean, as soon as he came to the finish of that and it was a sprint like this, he was going to win it because he had the advantage of there not being so many sprinters there. But in terms of his confidence,
painting the picture of Caleb's form pretty well. So he sprinted against a couple of club guys at Copper Bartley, and then a few stick climbers at.
No, but you were talking about how hard World Tour victories are to come by.
Yeah,
it's like sniper situation. It's like pick that one off. Okay, pick him over there, put him this one.
It's a World Tour win, and he goes away, and it's like that. Now he's ready to go and sprint against a whole bunch of sprinters.
I think Peloton,
So it's like, but you imagine if you had sent him to the wrong races and he had just got beaten, he would have felt like
first race Skilder Prize or something like that.
Yeah,
that's the thing. That's the whole. And now we're going down another rabbit hole. But that's the whole big change at Ineos now. The way they've really turned things around this year. It's fantastic, and like I can't imagine they would have targeted things like that last year or years before. It was all about bossing it.
I remember speaking to Zach Dempster, who's quite high up there at Ineos as director, and he sort of said that their plan for this season was just to win again, actually, just to go and win and really just try and throw their hands up as many times as possible. And I think that's the way, like rather than go for, GC, ride the front, potentially one guy, get up there, be third on GC or fifth in GC, which is where they've been at the last couple of years. They're just like, let's just go and win, And, it's working.
So that was, Do you want me to go through the rest of the race, Mitch? I mean, I may as well.
I think just a couple of points, because I know this has been a massive segment, and I don't want to disrespect the race and what you guys did there, because you had a great ride with Ben Healy, but is there a couple standout points for you just to sort of give us a bit of a flavour? What was the dinners like? And yeah,
Delicious, actually. I had a nice Peloton steak. Actually, so I mean, it's obviously a hilly race. There's a lot of guys there getting ready for the Ardennes. Schachmann re-emerged with a TT win on the first day, and haven't seen much from Schachmann this year. And then he actually defended very nicely for quite a long time in the race and held a good. It was only on the last day that he cracked and lost his podium place to Mass, who jumped ahead. The last day is like this super hard up and down, like mega climbing day. And we saw, I mean, UAE took the win with Almeida. Almeida could have given the stage to Mass on the last day because he had the GC sewn up, but no gifts these days, so he took another stage win. We saw Arenberg take a win for Cofidis, which is much needed, but also then get disqualified. They gave the win to Roman Gregoire, and then they gave it back to him a little bit later on, which was absolute chaos. I think everybody there was just like, make one decision or the other. Because he did ride past the marshal. There were people in the way. The road book was wrong, yes, but like the rest of the race all went left. He definitely got an advantage out of it. In my opinion, Arenberg wins anyway because he's fast and it was actually flying this week. So it just, unfortunately for the race, it just made them all. It made them
like clowns. Yeah.
And the best stage, of course, was won by Ben Healy. From our team, which was nice. And that was actually what I was going to do. I wanted to do my segment on. So I might just jump ahead of you here, Durbo.
No, because, I mean, to be honest, let's just flick my segment and we've done about 45 minutes worth of
Let's just cut Durbo. You can go.
I'm doing the quiz. I'm doing the quiz.
Just do your segment in the quiz.
So what I wanted to do about talking tactics was about like the solo breaks, right? So I think it's like the monuments in particular and the big races, more and more it's going in the direction of solo wins. But I had on the day that Ben won, he went 57 Ks to go solo from like a very, very strong breakaway. Alaphilippe with Bargy, his teammate, Alex Baudin we had in there as well, and like a quality group. And he jumped away from the group, and it's the first time that I, in recent years, have directed a rider from right behind them with the car once they're in a solo position for that long.
Like a TT.
And with VeloViewer, it was exactly like a TT. So obviously it made a difference because of the terrain that we're on. So he had gone, and then there was a climb, and then there was like rolling sections. But I could say to Ben, this next uphill is 300 meters. Push over, be ready to push so to keep the speed high constantly. Whereas behind in the group, like they're coming around a bend, and you can't be accurate enough with the radio in the car because you're not right with the riders. On the downhills, you could say, okay, a long left coming into an open right, it's going to open up, we don't need to brake. Or this one, the next bend's going to tighten, so you need to like get ready and line yourself up this way, and you can really zoom in because you're that close. You're the one car that's behind the rider and seeing the road and trying to like basically get them to maintain a higher average speed like you would in a TT. And I was thinking already, like the advantage over the group behind is massive because there's no stalling. It's constant speed.
I was going to say, did you go sometimes in front so you could show him the corner and stuff and on the long straights?
Yeah.
You just can't help yourself, can you? I'm actually really interested by this point, Tom.
I am because I was just thinking then in the car, the question I was going to ask is, did you feel pressure of giving him too much confidence only not knowing it yourself? Like, for instance, if you know the road, your home roads, you can say, mate, seriously, full gas through that corner. But if you're watching it off a map, you can see it, but like there's an element of like, well, I hope this is right.
I mean, there's a difference between like, so if you've done a TT and you've done a recon, you can say 100% next corner full.
Yeah, right.
In this case, it's much more a case of like what it looks like. So you can't, because I mean, Ben was railing the downhill. We had like, you know, when you're in that, you got 2 minute lead and 6K to go. It's like, oh, do you really need to be like making us quite so stressed back here. But I found that like focusing on that, it wasn't so much as like, oh, you can do this absolutely full gas or directing the speed, but you could say like this corner is going to tighten more. So like you can be surprised by it, because we also wanted him to stay on his bike, right? But it's I think there's a definite, I mean, the UAE guys must do it constantly. And when I saw it firsthand, I'm like, there's an advantage here over, because for example, we were car 21 because we were off GC. So that means when you're in a bunch or a group situation, you've got no actual oversight as to what's happening. When you're one-on-one, it's a massive difference.
But I know you say UAE have got that advantage, but do you think Pogačar is using that kind of information? I don't get the feeling he does. He sort of just rides on his own feeling anyway.
Yeah, I mean, okay, he's a different class, but I think.
But yeah, okay.
I mean, also like Ben is a different class, because not everyone. I mean, he was in a group of top quality riders, and he went with 57k to go, and rode away from them and didn't lose any time on the peloton. So you can't just say, oh yeah, a good idea for cyclists is to just jump in front of the bunch and use their car and ride, and they're just going to win. You have to have the legs. You have to be good enough, but there is an advantage to having that kind of thing happening.
Intel.
I think.
Yeah, but like
100%.
the unity behind. Also, like you said, you've got one goal. The guys off the front pushing. You see that in the classics. Like the guy's just fully committed. He's off the front. He's alone. He's just fully committed now, and everyone behind is doing like through and off. Like if you really were, it's funny. The best way to chase someone is actually 30 seconds to a minute on the front, like a team's time trial. Like you don't do through and off to chase someone. Say team's time trial, the fastest way possible to go. You don't go through and off. You don't go off and off and off and off like this. Like that's actually not that fast. Where if you want to go fast, you do like 30 seconds to a minute on the front. Next guy goes 30 seconds to a minute on the front. Guys get actual recovery. Like if you actually want to chase someone, say for example, Van Der Poel goes solo, you see guys just doing this. Just, you're never catching him, Like if you really want to do it, it's like, okay, boys, we're going to go 30 seconds on the front, Mads Pedersen, then 30 seconds Garner, then Van Der Poel, then Van Aert. And next minute,
if you had a team and you wanted to chase a solo break, that's exactly how you do it, 30-second pulls. But
yeah, exactly.
everybody's a team leader in those situations, so they're not, like nobody's going to...
Like that's where, a lot of times when I chase people, say for example, on the Tour de France or some of the races that you got to ride the front, like I literally would go up there and be like, right boys, like when we start to go here, we're going to do a minute. Keep an eye on your power. You're actually going to do a minute on the front. And then, because like they're just doing these ones and we're not catching the group that's, putting their opinion on this back. Like, we're actually going to do 30 seconds. That's all we're going to do. Shorten the turns up. Because so often you see these guys and they slowly just get slower and slower and slower and slower because they're in the front 180k. And that's why you see these breakaways stay away. You're like, well, you're not actually chasing the most efficient way. I mean, like you said, team leaders in that situation, you're not going to get Alaphilippe. He's trying to win the stage. He's not going to bury himself for 30 seconds. But what I don't understand a lot of these times is like, you're not racing for the victory anymore. Like a lot of guys just prefer to just not be last in a breakaway than to be first. Once the first guy attacks, like Healy, like he attacks, 56k to go, everyone's like, okay, now I better not be last in this breakaway. I better be second. Rather than going, let's just all get together, shut this guy down now, and then at least we have an opportunity to win. But it's
that's never going to work because, for instance, if that was a situation I saw everyone committing, I'm like, oh, this is a good scenario for me. I might just, and that's how everyone's going to be thinking.
Favors the first guy who goes. Generally.
I mean, to be fair, like we also had another rider in the group, which is a massive card. Like you got another. Every time you look around, there's a pink jersey behind you. I mean, that was like, if you want to go like where the race is won, you dial it all the way back to there because it's like, well. And you speak to Alex, finish, you're like, oh, you did an amazing job today. So I didn't really do much. Like, yeah, you did. You did a huge job because every time people looked around and they saw you, just, that's like basic cycling 101, isn't it? From the guide.
And that's the thing too. If they play that card, like you said, Durbo, and they all commit, and then the pink guy's like, look, I can't ride because my guy's there. Like, well, what are we going to do? Pull this guy across, and then he's going to be the freshest guy here, and he's going to attack us. So it's a massive role. It just disrupts everything. Either if he's getting in the way or if he's sitting on, he still disrupts it.
It still disrupts it. The thing is, you're still not racing for the win. I think that's the biggest thing. You think this guy's sitting on, but yeah, he might be sitting on, but when he comes back, he might attack us, but he might puncture, he might this. You're still not racing for the win. I mean, it's not the best. You're never going to get that psyche out of people's head in the breakaway.
So is what I'm taking out of this, the secret is just to go solo.
Just ride away.
Just have an engine like Ben Healy, be like 40 kilos and FTP of 450 and just go.
CDA at the minus.
I don't think I ever did a solo breakaway. I did one time about 10K
Williamstown.
solo.
Come on, mate. Williamstown Baker.
It wasn't solo.
No, I wasn't solo. I was with another guy. I'm too scared to go solo. I can't do solo big efforts like that. I'm an on-off guy.
I thought you were solo.
No, I was solo in the sprint. I put a gap into him in the last 300. So, yeah.
Went solo, 300 meters to go.
Durbo, do you want to roll your segment into the quiz then?
Yeah, sure. All right. My segment, I was going to talk a little bit about now leading into the Ardennes, and we've just had Roubaix. I was going to talk a little bit about race programming. And what I mean by that is that at the start of the season, the masterminds of the team, like Tom, get together and plan this, master plan about how they're going to win Roubaix.
Oh, God.
But then what happens is when you arrive at Roubaix, there's just been an absolute, massacre throughout the classics, and you rock up and you've got, 2 guys that might be going well, and then you might have 6 guys that have injured. Classics hasn't gone as, to plan. A young neo pro might have been called up to come in. You actually turn on the TV going like, sure, there's Mads Pedersen there with the Trek team, but like there's only 3 other guys that are actually in some shape. The other guys are just like there to not get a UCI fine because they didn't sign on with enough numbers.
5,000 euro.
5,000 euros, so it doesn't
per rider.
Yeah, exactly.
What? Just on that, what's the actual ruling? Like, for instance, if I've got a broken arm and clearly I'm not doing the race, but I kit up and sign on, is that eligible, or you have to roll out?
I think you can do it.
You don't have to roll out. You have to be engaged on the form, and then you have to sign in.
Yeah, so you could go up on a wheelchair and take the absolute Mickey.
Last year, a couple of guys did it from one team at Lombardy, and then they took the start and got off immediately. I won't mention the team.
Anyway, so quick one. When you plan that idea, Tom, for programming, like when you guys talk, like what does that look like, knowing that the classics are going to have things? Do you just constantly adapting? That's pretty much it, or?
Yeah, I mean, like I don't know how it's been for you guys this year, but we've had like a particularly brutal year. Some years it's okay. There's always like going to be a small amount, but this year's been. So we try not to put too many races in as the first thing, because like when you start the year, everybody's like, oh, I want to race. Oh, I've not got enough races. It doesn't look that great. It's like the team needs more races, but then actually you come to a situation where, especially if you're running 3 programs, like, because we had Basque, Loire, and Roubaix and Flanders. So we ended up taking someone who had just finished the Circuit de Sarthe on the Friday to had then go and ride Roubaix on Sunday because of injuries and sickness. And you basically, to get to Roubaix, I reckon you need 12 people, 12 riders to start with. And then like and you still end up taking, like, if Roubaix is a funny race because you get quite a lot of riders who do it you just wouldn't imagine would ever do it, because literally somebody has to go. And so you've got these guys, like you said, that are like super primed. It's the biggest goal of the year. It's a massive race. Then if you look at the other end of it, you've got like quite a weird mix of people thrown in. Like, I mean, Jack Rootkin Gray, we literally threw him in 48 hours notice. Happened last year to Lucas Deruka, like James Shaw before that. And it's like, it's the end of the classics. It's so attritional with crashes, with the time of year, with the sickness. And also now, I mean, more and more because people want to go and prepare the Euro, right? So
that's the point I was going to bring up was like, I'm training here with Michael Hepburn. He's training up for the Giro. And Kel O'Brien broke his collarbone in the training 2 days before Roubaix. And Heppy's thinking, shit, like, I'm the next guy to get the call up. And it's just one of those things like, okay, Heppy, you got to go to Roubaix. But it's not just any race to get called up to. You know, you get called up, Heppy goes to Roubaix, all of a sudden he's just do a job for the first 120. We saw what happened in the first 120. Probably 90% of crashes happened in the first 120. Next minute, touchwood, Heppy's broken his collarbone, and then Giro's out as well. So it's
has Heppy done Roubaix?
Yeah.
Yeah. You'd think it'd be a race he'd do more often. But yeah, he's a big Giro guy. It's interesting because I find that really interesting about the programs, more about how they get done. I didn't never thought about that, Tom, because I was on the other end of that going with the riders. What the hell's going on this year? We've got literally no races. But then, as exactly what you said, all of a sudden you're getting called left, right, and centre to do all these races, and you've got the foresight of like, hey, we've been here before, boys. It's not our first rodeo. Yeah.
It's a nightmare. Like, we're doing programs now. I spoke to Whitey, and he sort of said that I have to wait till after Roubaix. So I can't give you a guarantee of what's next or what you're doing, because I always just, over the years, have learnt that the next phase programming starts after Roubaix, which then leads into the Giro and so forth and so, you know. So it's like, I can't give you a definitive answer right now because I'm going to get through Roubaix and then I'm going to tell people, yes, you're in.
I mean, we often hear it. So you often hear like a rider comes back in, you know, oh, this is my program for the season. They've got like a really nice plan and it's all laid out for them.
About it all the time, Mitch.
And they're like, wow, yeah, this is great. Oh, look at me. And it's like, yeah, fine. But it's just like, that's just a fantasy. It's absolute, like, I'm glad that you're happy, but you know.
Fantasy, yeah, that's exactly it, man. It's like, get your first couple of races for the start. That's it.
I think the way that White is doing it and like the way that we try to do it is like, is try to give less at the start, you know? So, because you're also managing disappointment, right? Constantly. And like I am, you know, it's like you're making a phone call to a guy saying you got to go and do this. And we know how the riders think. It's like nobody wants to phone to ring and me to be on the other end saying, oh, by the way, you know? So trying to like, trying to like, make it work. Anyway, and then it,
Well, I think that's my segment. Got to keep it nice and short. Just wanted to let people back home know, like, it's not a blueprint that you sort of like, Roubaix, you're doing Roubaix this year. You're like, yeah, I'd like to, but you know, there's a high odds, obviously, my example, breaking the collarbone, that potentially you won't be there. Anyway, boys, it's been a good one. We've been firing through this. It's just seamless. We haven't even done stop segments. Straight into Tom's, straight into mine.
Let's do it, Durbs. You do the quiz. It's your turn to do the quiz, and I'm intrigued. I want to take Southam on. The two quiz masters get a chance to battle.
Yeah, so I'm sort of a bit of a creature of habit, so I am going to do a bit of Who Am I, but I think they're quite good, you know. I do enjoy the Who Am I's, and I'm going to keep it sort of Roubaix focused.
Are we just chiming in, or you got one each?
No, you got to chime in.
Right.
Rapid fire. As soon as you know it, just yell it out.
Righto.
All right. First one. Who am I? Born in 1977, I am Belgium. 3 times second in Tour of Flanders.
Oh.
Stein No,
it's Hoster, Leif Hoster.
Yeah,
shit. Well,
yes.
That's so impressive. I'll read a little bit more. In 08, 09, and 10, he was 6th, 4th, and 8th in Roubaix. He rode for Discovery for 2 years, and his name is like a tree. A leaf. Anyway,
you should have said, and his face looks like a tomato. He always had such a red face.
I always grew up enjoying those two, him and Van Summeren in Lotto, you know. That were always they were awesome. All right. Mitch, 1 point. Well done. Who am I? I was top 10 4 times in Roubaix in my career. I was a superstar of cycling during the era of 2000 to 2014. I won many big races,
Oh, that's a good clue.
including stages of the Tour de France and the World Championships.
Cancellara.
No, he never won Roubaix. He was top 10 4 times in Roubaix, but
Top
never
10.
won.
Well, yeah,
You-
but winning's also
Sorry. Yeah, top 10, but
Uh,
never won it.
But what
Right.
era did you say again? 2000 to 2014.
a world champion.
World champion.
Never won Roubaix.
Oh, a world champion.
Mm-hmm. And won
Road or
stages of the
TT?
Tour.
Road
Race.
TT.
Hushoff.
Yay, 2 points.
Simple.
Fire.
We're
All
talking
right.
about Roubaix. Let's do it.
Yeah, I'm getting absolutely smoked here.
This is probably one you're both going to know, but you're going to have to be real quick. Okay? Be ready. Name the 2 riders who won Roubaix the most.
Boonen.
Boonen de Vlaming.
Ah,
Tom,
Southam
1
back.
point back. 2-1.
Little bit of history, see?
Roger.
All right, here we go. Who am I? I won 80 races in my career. I won 2 stages of Tour of Beijing. I won Flanders. Then 2 years later, I won Roubaix. I was renowned for my Ardennes, but I did a few years of Flemish classics and ticked off
Gilbert.
the big 2.
Gilbert.
Yeah, we go.
Gilbert. Well done. He's back.
2-2.
2-2.
I'm gonna
Well
have to
done,
do-
Turbo. Good disguising of who it is. That was a really good way to do it.
All right. Now we've got probably 2 more. So I can keep going until we win this, but we're
Let's
drawing
do one
now.
more question because it's 2
Yeah,
all.
one more. This is it. Yeah, this is it.
All in.
All right, let's do it. Okay. All right. Who was the smallest winning margin to win Roubaix?
Blancart over Steve Bauer.
Well done.
Oh. No, do
0.39
two more.
centimetres.
Definitely.
0.39
Well done,
inches.
Southam.
0.39 inches.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, he came home.
1990. Wow.
Yeah, well
What a close
done.
call that. 2-0 down.
All right, the
2-0
last
down.
question I had was the largest winning margin.
Oh, it'd be
Was
millions
this back
years
in the
ago,
old days?
1970.
Is it Merckx? Over?
De Vlaeminck, 5 minutes 20.
Is that all? Even including like the 1800s.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know, but this is what they've said. 5 minutes 20. I did some trying to research on the internet, but we'll go with that.
Chat GP, nice.
Was that draw then? I got one more then. Fuck. All right.
Oh no, come on, I've won it now. Or are we just going until Mitch wins?
Okay, boys. Good.
All right,
I won.
Boys, we'll let Southam get to his holiday down in Greece. Durbo, you got to go training, and I'm going to go have dinner. Boys,
Perfect.
it's been awesome,
Nice one,
as
boys.
always. Thank you very
Cool.
much, and thanks to Training Peaks and MAAP, of course, big, proud partners of the Communiqué. Next time.
See you guys.
That iconic music in this episode was composed by none other than the legend Pete Shelley. Cheers, mate.